Have you ever noticed that hatred doesn't always come crashing in like a storm? It doesn't always shout in your face or slam the door behind you. Sometimes, the most dangerous kind of hate is quiet. It sits beside you at the table, it looks you straight in the eye and smiles, all while it's sharpening the knife it plans to use on your back. Welcome back to Stoic Power Lab, your daily dose of timeless Stoic wisdom. You see, real hatred, the deep, cold kind, it's rarely loud. It wears a mask of politeness, sometimes even warmth. It says all the right words to your face, but when you're not looking, it sets traps in your path. This kind of hate doesn't need to raise its voice to destroy you. It just needs to whisper a rumor behind closed doors, plant seeds of doubt when you're not around, and watch as your reputation crumbles piece by piece. And here's the thing. Because it's so quiet, so calculated, you might not see it coming until the damage is done. That's why it cuts the deepest. When someone screams at you in anger, you know where you stand. But when someone stays close just to gather your secrets, study your weaknesses, and then turns them against you, that's a betrayal that stings in ways only your soul can feel. I wonder, have you ever sat next to someone like that? Someone who nodded, smiled, said they were on your side, yet you felt something in your spirit that didn't sit right? Maybe it was that unsettling feeling that their silence spoke louder than any insult ever could. Sometimes the enemy doesn't show up with a red pitchfork. Sometimes he shows up as a trusted friend, a close companion, maybe even someone you prayed with. I want you to pause right now and think. Who sits at your table? Who do you share your dreams with? Who do you confide in when life feels heavy? Because not everyone who claps for you in public is cheering for you in private. Some people thrive in the shadows. They won't push you off the cliff themselves. They'll just make sure you're standing at the edge when the ground crumbles. But here's what I need you to hear tonight. Just because hatred hides behind a smile doesn't mean you have to live in fear. Discernment is your shield. Pay attention not just to words, but to patterns. Look at the fruit. Does their presence bring you peace, or does it drain your spirit? Yes, hatred can be subtle, but your spirit knows. God gives us eyes to see beyond the surface. He gives us the strength to stand when betrayal cuts deep. And he promises this: no weapon formed against you shall prosper, not even the hidden ones. So guard your heart. Stay awake. Walk in wisdom, not paranoia. And remember, the one who sits with you at every table sees every masked smile, every whispered lie, every trap laid in secret. You may be surrounded by quiet hatred, but you are never alone. Hold your head high, beloved. You are covered. And the same grace that exposes the silent hate will protect you from its harm. My dear friend, I want you to pause for a moment and really let these words sink in. Not every wound in your life happened by chance. Some hurts are not just unfortunate misunderstandings or mistakes made in the heat of the moment. No, some wounds are inflicted with surgical precision. That's what we call intentional hatred. It's the kind of malice that doesn't wait for a chance to hurt you. It makes one. It doesn't stumble into conflict. It crafts it carefully, quietly, often behind your back. You see, hatred like this is not an accident. It is a weapon. The Bible is so clear about this. In 1 John 3 verse 15, we're told, anyone who hates a brother or sister is a murderer, and you know that no murderer has eternal life residing in him. That's strong language. It shocks us because we want to believe hate is just a feeling, an emotion we can brush aside or hide. But God says it's so much deeper. It's a spiritual poison, one that kills long before a knife ever touches flesh. Hatred murders the heart, the trust, the joy of a relationship. Have you ever wondered why betrayal hurts so deeply? It's because intentional hatred often wears the mask of closeness. It hides behind smiles at your dinner table, warm hugs at family gatherings, words of support whispered in the hallways of your life. Sometimes the ones who plan your downfall are the very ones who call you friend. That's why spiritual discernment is not just a nice idea. It's a necessity. Take a moment and ask yourself, who in my life has access to my heart? Who do I allow to speak into my dreams, my fears, my calling? Not everyone who claps for you is cheering for you. Some clap to get close enough to strike. Some listen to your struggles only to store up ammunition for later. It's sobering, I know, but it's a truth we need to hold tight. The enemy loves to hide in plain sight. Yet I want you to hear this. Your pain did not catch God by surprise. The betrayal, the slander, The rumors spread about you behind closed doors. None of it shocks the one who formed you. He sees the motives you can't see. He hears the conversations you're not invited to. And in his infinite wisdom, he can turn even the darkest plots against you into stepping stones for your purpose. Think about Joseph in the Old Testament. His own brothers sold him into slavery out of hatred. Their betrayal was deliberate. It wasn't a misunderstanding, it was a plot. But what did Joseph say years later when he stood before the very brothers who tried to ruin him? He said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Genesis 50 verse 20. Friend, if God did it for Joseph, he can do it for you. The hatred that was meant to break you can become the very thing that builds you. The weapons formed against you may be real, they may cut deep, but they will not prosper. They cannot override the purpose God has written over your life. Now, here's the challenge. Don't let intentional hatred poison your spirit. The enemy wants to trick you into picking up the same weapon used against you. He wants you to repay betrayal with bitterness, to respond to wounds with revenge. But you are not called to carry that burden. Bitterness will rot your soul from the inside out. It will choke the joy out of your calling. So how do we respond? First, we guard our hearts with spiritual discernment. Pray, Lord, give me eyes to see what's hidden. Show me what I need to confront and what I need to release. Give me wisdom to set healthy boundaries without building walls that shut out your healing. Second, we choose forgiveness, not because they deserve it, but because freedom demands it. Forgiveness is not saying what they did was okay. It's saying you won't let their hatred keep you chained. It's refusing to let yesterday's wounds steal today's peace. And finally, we remember who fights for us. Ephesians 6 verse 12 reminds us, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." The people who hurt you are not your ultimate enemy. The Spirit working through them is. And that Spirit is no match for the power of God in you. So I urge you today, keep your heart soft, but your discernment sharp. Keep your love sincere, but your boundaries strong. Hold fast to this truth. The hatred you faced is a sign that you carry something worth fighting for. The enemy wouldn't bother attacking you if you weren't a threat to his plans. You are chosen, anointed, and protected. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Intentional hatred may bruise you, but it cannot bury you. Stand firm in who you are, whose you are, and where you're going. Let their hatred be a footnote, but let God's love be your headline. You're not a victim of their schemes. You're a vessel of His glory. And that, my friend, is something no enemy can ever take away. My dear friend, I want you to pause and really reflect on this. Not everyone who smiles at you wishes you well. Some people, behind their calm and polite exterior, carry hearts that are rotting with spiritual decay. They might look put together, successful, maybe even religious on the outside, but the evil they plan in secret reveals the true state of their soul. Intentional harm, the choice to wound another on purpose, is always a sign of spiritual corrosion. Have you ever wondered why some people go out of their way to cause pain? It's because hurt people often hurt people, but sometimes it goes deeper than brokenness. Sometimes it's a willful rebellion against what God is doing in your life. They see the light in you, and it exposes the darkness in them. So they plot, they gossip, they twist the truth to make you stumble. And when you see them walk around as if nothing happened, you might feel a righteous anger rise in your spirit. God, how can they do this and still seem so blessed? But listen closely. Our God sees what you cannot see. He doesn't just hear the words that are said to your face. He hears every secret conversation, every whispered plan, every fake smile that hides a dagger. Nothing is hidden from Him. That's why the Bible says, "Vengeance is mine," says the Lord. Those 4 words might be the hardest for us to accept, especially when our hearts are burning for justice. But they are also the most freeing. You see, when you try to take revenge into your own hands, you step into a role that was never yours to carry. You were never designed to bear the burden of revenge. That weight will crush your joy, poison your peace, and blind you to what God wants to do through your pain. You don't need to match evil with evil. You don't need to return their betrayal with your own scheme. You don't need to waste your precious energy plotting their downfall. Why? Because your Father in heaven is a righteous judge. He is not mocked. He is not asleep. He keeps perfect records and knows the truth when you have no words left to defend yourself. His justice may not look like what you imagine, and it may not come on your timeline, but it always comes, and it comes perfectly. So let me ask you, what would it look like to truly trust God with the things you can't fix? What would it feel like to lay your anger, your desire to get even, at His feet and walk away lighter, freer, unburdened? Maybe you've spent years replaying that betrayal in your mind, imagining what you would say or do if you could make them pay. But what if you let God handle it? What if you let Him write a better ending than the one your hurt heart would write? You are not powerless. You are proof that their evil did not succeed. Think about that for a moment. You are still here. You're still breathing, standing, rising. They planned to destroy your peace, but you have more peace than ever. They tried to silence your voice, but you speak with more wisdom now. They thought they could stop your calling, but look at you, still moving forward, still marked by God's favor. Your life is a living testimony that no weapon formed against you can prosper. You are the evidence that when people play games with your heart, God writes stories with your scars. So keep your head held high. You don't need to repay evil with evil. Your very survival is already the victory. And when you're tempted to fight back with the same darkness they used against you, remember this: you're different. You're set apart. You don't have to get your hands dirty because your Father already has the final say. He writes the last chapter, not them. He holds your reputation, your future, your vindication in His hands. So today, choose to walk in freedom. Let forgiveness be your weapon and trust be your shield. Keep doing good, even when others do you wrong. Keep showing up with integrity, even when they twist your words. And rest in this promise: the God who sees all and knows all is fighting for you. His justice is sure, His timing is perfect, and His love for you never fails. Vengeance belongs to the Lord, and because of that, you can live unburdened, unbothered, and undefeated. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to wake up each day with a mission to wound others? It's tempting to think, maybe they're just having a rough time. Maybe they're acting out of weakness. But the truth is deeper and more sobering. When someone keeps causing harm on purpose, again and again, it's not just a moment of weakness. It's often a sign that something inside has rotted away. Their soul is carrying old wounds, unspoken bitterness, and a jealousy they never confronted. It's like a garden left untended. Weeds of resentment grow wild until they choke out every good thing. Proverbs 4:23 tells us, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. What a powerful reminder. Our words, our actions, our reactions, they all pour out of what lives inside our hearts. If your heart is clean and nourished, your life brings healing and hope to others. But if your spirit is infected with envy, anger, or unforgiveness, then no matter how polite you appear on the surface, that poison will seep out. One sharp word here, one manipulative move there. A wounded spirit will always find ways to wound others. But here's the beautiful, freeing truth. Someone else's bitterness does not have to become your burden. Just because they throw their venom at you doesn't mean you need to swallow it. You don't have to take responsibility for their brokenness. I know it's hard, especially if it's a parent, a spouse, a friend you once trusted. Sometimes, we even think that carrying their pain is noble. But hear me, when you absorb their hatred and let it lodge inside you, you're letting their spiritual ruin infect your soul. So let me ask you, what pain are you carrying right now that was never yours to hold? What grudges, what old betrayals have you made part of your identity? Did someone's harsh words become the voice in your head? Did their envy become your lens for how you see others? If so, it's time to break that chain. Don't let the hurt they caused become the story you live by. You were not made to echo their bitterness. You were made to reflect hope, kindness, and strength. Guard your heart like a treasure, because it is. Bring your wounded places into the light. Pray for the courage to forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve freedom. Remember this: hatred always starts small, hidden deep in a corrupted spirit. But you don't have to be another vessel for that poison. You can be the one who stops it here, who refuses to pass it on, who guards your heart so well that even when others throw stones, your soul stays unshaken. May you live light, live clean, and never let another person's brokenness become your own. Keep your heart, above all else, for from it flows the wellspring of life. Have you ever felt that sting? When someone who claimed to love you ended up being the very person who wounded you the most? It's one of the hardest truths in life. Not everyone who says, "I care about you," truly loves you the way they should. There are people who hide behind the mask of affection, but their actions quietly chip away at your spirit. They say, "I'm only doing this because I care," yet their words cut deeper than any enemy's sword. I've learned this, and maybe you have too, that false love often disguises itself with good intentions. But real love, the kind that mends rather than breaks, always carries mercy at its core. True love can correct you, yes. It can tell you when you're drifting down the wrong path. But it never does it to humiliate you. It never exposes you just to watch you squirm. Think about the words in 1 Corinthians 13, that timeless picture of what love really looks like. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. Real love speaks the truth, but it does so gently, with the hope of building you up, not tearing you apart. Ask yourself, who in my life calls me higher with love, and who uses love as a leash to control me? It's not always easy to see the difference. The world is full of people like Judas. Do you remember? Judas didn't betray Jesus with a sword, but with a kiss. Betrayal dressed up like loyalty. He got close enough to touch Jesus' face, but his heart was already sold to darkness. That's how deception works. It comes close, whispers comfort, and then leaves you broken when you least expect it. So, what does true love do differently? When someone truly loves you, they may correct you, but they do it privately, to protect your dignity. They pull you aside to speak truth, not to shame you in front of others. They want to see you restored, not ruined. They cover your flaws while helping you heal them. It's never about parading your mistakes to feel superior. That's not love. That's pride wrapped in false concern. I want to invite you to examine your relationships today. Who holds a place in your heart just because they've said the right words, but their actions always leave you feeling smaller, less worthy, less whole? Real love doesn't crush your spirit. It lifts you up. If you constantly feel anxious or walking on eggshells around someone who claims they love you, maybe it's time to look deeper. God's kind of love is a love that endures, that bears with your weaknesses, and yet calls you to greater strength. It heals what is broken without breaking you further. It knows when to speak and when to stay silent, when to confront and when to comfort. And here's the challenge. Don't just look outward. Look inward too. Ask yourself, when I say I love someone, is my love patient, kind, and free of pride? Do I correct in private, or do I broadcast people's mistakes to feel righteous? We are all capable of becoming the very thing we fear, the Judas in someone else's story. But when our hearts stay soft, our love stays real. Today, I pray you have the courage to release false ties disguised as love. May you guard your spirit against kisses of betrayal. And may you hold tightly to the love that is honest, patient, merciful, the kind of love that reflects the very heart of God. Because that is the love that will never destroy you, only build you up into who you were always meant to be. Have you ever had that sinking feeling when you realized someone you trusted was secretly glad to see you fall? It's one of life's most painful wake-up calls, to see a person stand beside you when you're winning, but slip away, or worse, celebrate in silence when you stumble. Maybe they don't say it out loud, but their quiet smirk, their sudden cold shoulder, their convenient absence in your darkest moment, it says everything about where their heart truly is. The Bible gives us such a simple yet profound picture of genuine love in Romans 12 verse 15. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. Real love doesn't find delight in your heartbreak. Real love doesn't stand back with crossed arms when your world crumbles. Instead, it leans in. It sits beside you in the ashes, wipes your tears, and reminds you you're not alone. But let's be honest, not everyone in our circle loves us like that. Some people feed off your success because it benefits them or makes them look good by association. But when the storms come, their true colors appear. They go silent. Or maybe they even spread whispers about your failure, feeding tiny rumors to feel better about their own emptiness. Have you ever wondered why they do that? Here's what I've learned. Someone who finds joy in your pain is showing you the decay in their own spirit. Their hidden celebration is not a reflection of your worth. It's proof of their own brokenness. And friend, That's not a burden you were ever meant to carry. I know it's tempting to internalize it, to wonder, what did I do to deserve that betrayal? But the truth is, you could have done everything right, loved purely, given generously, trusted wholeheartedly. And still, their dark delight in your suffering says more about the emptiness in their soul than any failure in yours. If you've ever found yourself haunted by that feeling, the look in someone's eyes that says, "I'm glad you fell," I want you to remember this. Your pain is never for the amusement of God. The Lord never sits back to watch you break. He never joins the whispers or the laughter behind closed doors. Psalm after psalm reminds us, He is close to the brokenhearted. He binds up the wounds of the crushed in spirit. And if you listen closely, you can hear His invitation. Don't let their secret celebration become your silent prison. Don't let their fake love and hidden cruelty define how you see your own worth. You were never meant to prove yourself to people who secretly hope you'll fail. Instead, root your identity in the one who mourns when you mourn and rejoices when you rise again. Maybe this hits close to home. Maybe you felt that sting in your workplace, your family, or even in a friendship you thought was safe. I'm here to tell you, you can let go of that weight. Their joy over your pain is their corruption, not your cross to carry. So today, I urge you, hold on to Romans 12 verse 15. Surround yourself with people who can celebrate your victories without envy and stand with you in your struggles without judgment. And if you can't find them yet, be that kind of person for someone else. Because love like that heals the wounds left by pretenders. May you find freedom in this truth. You are not defined by the people who secretly hope to see you fall. You are held, seen, and lifted by the one who always rejoices when you rise again. And His love is the only love that will never betray you. Let's talk about something that often slips under the radar but cuts deeper than we like to admit. The cruel joke, the mocking comment, the sarcasm that pretends to be just a bit of fun. Maybe you felt it. That moment when someone laughs at your expense, then shrugs and says, "Oh, don't be so sensitive. I was just kidding." But deep down, you know it wasn't harmless. It was a tiny arrow meant to wound, all while they hide behind a smile. Proverbs 26:18-19 paints this picture so perfectly. Like a madman who throws flaming arrows of death is the one who deceives their neighbor and says, "I was only joking." Isn't that exactly how it feels? Words can be as sharp as arrows. And when someone cloaks their insults in humor, it's even more confusing because you're left asking, am I overreacting? Should I just laugh along? But hear me, mocking is not a harmless habit. It's one of the most dangerous forms of hidden hatred. Why? Because it often masquerades as wit, as bonding, as playful banter. But its goal is to diminish you, to make you small so the one laughing can feel bigger for a moment. I've seen this too often. Maybe you have too. Sometimes, the person who constantly mocks you is wrestling with something broken inside themselves. Pride, envy, even fear. They see something in you, your light, your growth, your confidence, and they don't know how to handle it. So they take tiny shots, one joke at a time, one jab at a time. It's a defense mechanism to cover up the parts of themselves they're too afraid to face. But here's where you need to stand strong. Don't silence your voice just to make them comfortable. Too many of us have swallowed our words, dimmed our light, and laughed along with jokes that hurt just to keep the peace. But that's not real peace. That's a false truce built on your quiet suffering. God never calls you to silence your soul to appease someone's pride. He calls you to guard your heart. And sometimes, that means naming mockery for what it is. It's not harmless fun when it leaves scars on your spirit. It's not just a joke if you walk away feeling less than who you are. I want you to ask yourself, who in your life uses jokes to control the atmosphere? Whose sarcasm makes you shrink back, second-guessing your worth? And even more importantly, how long have you carried the echo of those jokes inside your own head? Because this is the real danger. Sometimes, we take the mockery of others and turn it into our own inner voice. We repeat their insults when we look in the mirror. We let their sarcasm shape our self-image. And that, my friend, is exactly what the enemy wants, to keep you chained to words that were never true about you. But here's the truth that sets you free. Their mocking spirit reveals their own wounded heart. Their toxic humor is a reflection of their own fears, not your failures. So don't hand them the keys to your identity. Maybe you're thinking, but if I call it out, won't I seem petty? Won't I lose that friendship? Sometimes, naming the poison is the very thing that saves your soul. Sometimes, you have to risk someone's discomfort to protect your own spirit. And remember, the one who made you doesn't use mockery to teach you. He corrects with mercy, he convicts with love, but he never humiliates you for sport. If you hear a voice in your life, or inside your head, that tears you down and laughs while you bleed, that is not the voice of God. So today, I want you to stand a little taller. If you've been the target of cruel jokes, know this: you don't have to stay silent. You don't have to laugh along. And you don't have to carry their bitterness as your truth. May you have the courage to say, "That's not funny to me anymore." May you choose friends and voices that speak life, not mockery. And may you always remember, you were never called to be the punchline of someone else's pain. You were called to live fully, speak boldly, and guard your heart like the precious treasure it is. Mockery is not harmless. It's a sign of a poisoned spirit. But your spirit can stay clean, strong, and unshaken, because your worth has never been up for debate. Sometimes the most dangerous people in our lives aren't the ones who shout curses at us from a distance, but the ones who sit close, nodding kindly, collecting every fragile piece of our hearts. They smile, they listen, they lean in when you're at your weakest. And then, when the moment comes, they turn your vulnerability into their weapon. It's not a misunderstanding. It's not a slip of the tongue. It's calculated. Because only someone close enough to know your secrets can twist the knife in just the right place. An enemy can throw stones at you, but only a friend can stab you in the softest part of your soul. I know this is a hard truth to face. Maybe you've been there. Maybe you trusted someone with parts of your story you never told anyone else, and one day, they used it against you. They took your confessions, your tears, your fears, and fed their pride with it. But I want you to hear me today. That betrayal doesn't define you. They might have stolen your trust, but they cannot touch what God has planted in you. The betrayal of someone close can break your heart, but it can never break the plans God has for you. I'm reminded of how even Jesus faced this. Judas sat at his table, dipped bread in the same bowl, looked him in the eye, all while plotting to sell him for silver. The betrayal didn't surprise Jesus. He knew, yet he loved fully anyway. And even though Judas' kiss was cruel, it could not stop what God had already set in motion. So let me ask you, who have you let so close that they now use your weakness like ammunition? And more importantly, are you blaming yourself for trusting? Friend, your capacity to trust is not your flaw. Their choice to betray is not your shame to carry. I've learned this. When someone uses your wounds to wound you deeper, it shows the sickness in their spirit, not in yours. The worst thing you can do is let their betrayal become a prison that keeps you from ever opening your heart again. God sees what was done in secret. He knows every whispered word, every hidden motive. And He promises to restore what was stolen, not just your confidence in people, but your faith in His goodness, too. So today, if you're healing from a silent betrayal, I want to remind you, you're not alone. You're not foolish for having trusted. You're not weak for having shared your heart. And the story is not over just because someone close turned away. May you have the courage to forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve freedom. And may you rest in this truth. No betrayal can touch what God has purposed for you. He sees, He knows, and He will heal you fully, deeply, and in ways you never imagined possible. If you're still here with me, take a deep breath. Let these words sink deep into your soul, because I know how heavy betrayal, mocking, or hidden hatred can feel. I know how it can cling to your mind late at night, whispering that maybe you did something to deserve it. But you need to hear this. You do not carry the blame for someone else's darkness. You were never meant to wear the shame of their choices on your shoulders. Their sin, their deception, their cruelty, it all reveals who they are, not who you are. One of the greatest traps the enemy sets is to convince you that you must get even to be strong, that you must repay hurt for hurt so no one sees you as weak. But real strength isn't about striking back. It's about refusing to let the wound reshape you into someone you were never meant to be. You know, it's so human to want to retaliate, to want them to taste the same bitterness they served you. But every time you choose not to mirror their brokenness, you choose freedom. Every time you choose forgiveness over revenge, you stand taller than the darkness that tried to pull you down. And I promise you, you win battles in the quiet places that no one else sees. You don't belong to the betrayal. You don't belong to the rumor. You don't belong to the mocking laughter behind your back. You belong to the one whose love never runs dry, the one who says, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay." And he does not overlook what was done in secret. It doesn't mean you're weak to let it go. It doesn't mean you condone what they did. It means you trust that your story is in bigger hands than your own. And what belongs to God? Your soul, your calling, your identity. No one can touch without facing the consequences. They might have left scars, but they can never cancel the purpose that heaven has spoken over you. I wonder if you've asked yourself lately, am I letting their actions define who I am? Maybe you've replayed the betrayal 1,000 times. Maybe you've spent too long trying to prove to people who hurt you that you're still standing. Friend, you don't owe them that. You don't have to exhaust your spirit trying to convince them you're unshaken. Every step you take forward, every prayer you whisper through tears, every choice you make to trust again, to hope again, declares that their darkness did not win. And I know this for sure. Your pain may echo, but it will never speak louder than God's promise for you. Yes, they might have left you with wounds you didn't ask for, but you get to choose what grows around those wounds. Will it be bitterness that chokes your joy? Or will it be a healing that makes you stronger than you ever imagined? So keep going. Keep standing. Keep believing that what God started in you, no betrayal can destroy. When you stand firm and refuse to retaliate, you become living proof that goodness is stronger than evil, that light shines brightest when the night tries to swallow you whole. May you rest tonight knowing you're not defined by the hand that hurt you. You're defined by the one who holds you. May you walk into tomorrow unburdened by revenge, because you trust a greater justice. And when you look back someday, you'll see it so clearly. Every time you chose love over hate, forgiveness over revenge, trust over fear, you were building a legacy that betrayal could never take away. So stand firm, beloved. Keep your eyes up, your heart open, and your spirit strong. The promise is bigger than the pain, and your story isn't over yet. If this video helped you, let it echo. Like, share, subscribe for more insights, and keep building your inner power.